Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Food Marketing Mindset Podcast. I'm Doug Resh, your host, and today we're diving headfirst into the world of food ingredients and how they get into your favorite products. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, the flavor explorer himself, Holden Rouse. Holden, are you ready for this adventure?
Doug, my curiosity is on high alert. Today's episode promises to be a captivating exploration.
Absolutely. Our table is set with two extraordinary guests who know how to blend and deliver ingredients. First up, we have Paul Dayton, the master broker from Dayton and Company. Paul's expertise lies in connecting the dots between farms, labs, and shelves. From spices to cutting-edge food tech, he's the bridge that turns raw ingredient potential into pantry staples.
And joining us alongside Paul is Warren Wyndham, the supply chain guru from Pearson Sales Company. Warren's team ensures that every ingredient follows seamlessly.
So grab your headphones, find your groove, and let's explore the cutting edge of food ingredients and distribution.
Without further ado, let's welcome our guests, Paul Dennett and Warren Wyndham, to the Food Marketing Mindset Podcast. Paul and Warren, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us.
So guys, what inspired Dayton and Company and Pearson Sales Company to enter the food ingredient industry, and how have your companies evolved in their establishment?
It's not hard to talk about origins on my side. Second generation here, so I don't know why they started in that business. It probably knew somebody that was brokering food. Our company started off as a brokerage and turned into distribution a few years after its inception. Back in the 70s, there was a lot of problems with trusting suppliers on deliveries, damages, delays, that kind of thing. So our founder, Bill Wilson, decided to start taking possession and having it on hand and being able to deliver on time, no hassles with drivers, no damages, and that's kind of our origins as a company.
I'm second generation as well, and my father started it back in '82. He went to work for a brokerage here and bought him out about a year later as they were transitioning into retirement. So that was kind of my inspiration. I always looked up to my dad, and I got family members that work here too, my brother and my sister. So I've been fortunate to be able to work with them throughout. And we've stuck with brokering. We do a little bit of distribution just at one account, but we've stuck with the brokering model, and it's been good. We've grown over the years and kind of evolved. We started just in bakery, and we've kind of evolved into savory flavors and kind of followed our customers down different paths as they've had demand for different things.
Nice. I like origin stories like that. It's a good way to start the conversation. Now you both have unique perspectives on the industry, and I want to know what kind of exciting trends you guys can share in the food ingredient space that our listeners should know about, and how do you stay informed on the latest food trends and the techniques to better serve your clients? Warren, you want to start us off on that?
Sure. Our items are primarily commodities, so we're not always on the forefront of kind of this development part of it. Coming off of COVID, a lot of focus has been in reducing costs. And so we're not, on my side at least, I'm not seeing a lot of crazy new ingredients, like impossible foods or, kind of that, we're actually seeing a regression in that kind of products. The big thing is probably more along the lines with what you guys are doing. There's a lot of sugar reduction. So it's the natural sweeteners, the high intensity sweeteners that are really pushing on that side, and sodium reduction. Those are kind of the two that we see. And a lot of those are maybe, partially health related and partially kind of government, mandates. They haven't really been official about the sodium reduction, but they've really been pushing it the last couple of years. So we're seeing the sodium reduction and sugar reduction, really just trying to find the most inexpensive way to deliver flavor to customers. So, reducing the amount of actual meat products or expensive flavors and using like traditional products like MSG and I plus G. That might sound kind of funny to natural customers, but really that's kind of the best bang for your buck, and that's what our customer base is asking for.
Do you see specific categories driving the trends in sugar reduction and salt reduction versus other categories?
I think the sugar reduction is mainly in the beverage space, whether it's energy drinks or even, dairy based products. And because that's the easiest way to kind of pull sugar out of in bakery and other ingredients. Sugar isn't just a sweetener; it's also creating body and texture for the products. So that's a little bit more tricky as far as reducing the sugar.
How about you, Paul? Are you seeing what kind of trends are you seeing on your side, and how do you guys stay abreast of everything?
Yeah, I'd agree with Warren. We're an industrial, right? So you see a lot of the innovation, I would say, come from food service and chefs and restaurants and things like that. But there are a lot of R&D now. The industrial companies that we sell to do have some pretty good R&D departments that are doing things. So I take that from, I'm not an innovator, but I react to what's out there. And I would say right now we're seeing a lot of requests. We sell vinegars and Asian sauces and things like mirin and sake and shaoxing. Those seem to be, all of a sudden we've got a lot of requests for that because we sell into a lot of frozen entrees and sauce type manufacturers. So I guess just recently we've seen a lot of that hit, and as a result, we've seen some shortages in some of those. Yeah, that's we get a lot of that from our suppliers and our customers. We're industrial brokers are generally pretty small. There's 8 of us. The food service and the retail brokers will have larger outfits, and sometimes we'll even have R&D kitchens, and they'll present ideas and things like that. But we take that lead from our suppliers. If they come out with a new product or something like that, we'll show it out. But
So are they giving you the marketing tools to be successful then in terms of the product, or are you guys making your own marketing materials?
a lot of times, yeah, we'll have a video, or I think a lot of it is just understanding your customer too, right? Like we came out with a new product and they say, okay, go sell it, but you got to know, if you know what your customers make and you know who your customers are, then you know who to present it to and how to present it to them, I would say. So, but yeah, they generally they come out with some ideas and have a sell sheet of some kind if they've got a new product that we work with.
Yeah, the really good ones will know exactly the final product that they're trying to make, so that when they're presenting these ingredients they come up with, they actually have something tangible that the customer can see. A lot of our customers are small to mid-size. They're not these giant, corporations like General Mills or ConAgra. They're, family-run businesses that need help. They don't have, R&D departments, 3 people on staff that can, pull from their experiences and make products. They really rely on the manufacturer and that expertise of their ingredients and how it can be delivered to the customer. So yeah, the good manufacturers will have a plan and how it's supposed to be used and how it integrates with other ingredients.
So as the middleman in this a little bit, right? Paul, and I guess Warren too, to your degree with the distribution side, you have this opportunity to collaborate with your customers on product development. How do you go ahead and create like these innovative recipes with them? Are you bringing in your resource team at those brands that you represent, to say, hey, you know what, I've got this ingredient that we know will work in here, but it needs some assistance to formulate some applications, or how is that all working within the confines of brokering and distribution? Are you working with that team and your own expertise, or are you bringing in the expertise from suppliers, or how's that all working from various segments of the market?
Yeah, I would say there's kind of 2 levels to that. Some suppliers will do ideations, right? They've got their own departments that'll come out, and like if you're a frozen food manufacturer, they'll come out and they'll put their product in your product, actually make it up, cook it up in the kitchens, and then do a whole dog and pony show for it. But most of the time what it is because when you get R&D departments asking you for samples, that's a big benefit. Like that's a great opportunity, right? When they're asking you. So you just ask them what they're making. And from there, you can kind of give them what they asked for originally, but you can offer, I mean, if it's a sauce, I want soy sauce. Well, do you use a sweetener? What are you thickeners? What else are you putting into the sauce? So just by asking them what they're making, you can suggest some other things to them from there.
Getting the conversation from the R&D department often is the hard part. Most of the time they feel like they're the experts. They know exactly what they're doing, and they don't want anybody else to know the information that's in their head. So having a customer that is collaborative, like Paul said, is the best thing, because once they ask you for help and they're open, then you can suggest not only what they're asking for, but maybe another ingredient that we have experience with another customer. Like, because confidentiality is really important, but you can use your expertise as far as what has worked for other customers and try to add that to the new project that's in front of you.
Yeah, they're always forgetting all the ingredients you have too. So it could just be they forgot you sold this other one over here, and you just remind them that you've got it, and they're like, yeah. And then, I mean, almost every time you do, there's ends up getting more samples than just what they asked for. So it's a good
And how do
opportunity.
you, so that's a good segue into another question that I had for you, is when you're talking to customers, obviously speed of service and quality of service counts, right? Um, in that realm, what's your best go-to-market strategy when it comes to interacting with your customers? Do you try to get in with them on a weekly cadence or a monthly cadence, or is it mainly by email, phone call? Like, having that relationship is key, right? So what's the success that you guys have seen come about from your years in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, once you're doing it for a long time, it's as long as you get them product quickly and you get them everything, the documents and everything quickly, they'll come to you more often. So you get a steady stream of these requests coming in, which is very nice. But you still have to, again, that's a huge, when somebody in R&D is coming to you for an ingredient, that's a huge opportunity. And sometimes we'll have people say a 2-week lead time on samples, and that's I'm fighting that now. We're about to head to Chicago for an IFT, and that's one of the things I have to push back on is you're killing this R&D project by taking 2 weeks on this. And it's a quiet thing, right? They don't tell you they're not going to use your ingredient. They just find somebody who can get it to them sooner, and then you lose out without ever really knowing that you're losing out on it. So yes, it's especially these larger companies, their R&D people are working on 2-3 day deadlines that they need to get back to their customers. So if you don't get them what they need quickly, you miss out. So it's very important.
Yeah, the expectations are impossible. The customer wants to make a phone call and have it right away. It's like, can't you just have Amazon deliver it to me tomorrow?
Yeah. Or can I buy it in a grocery store? But that doesn't work either because it's different formulation.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Someone will go to a grocery store and be like, oh, I tested this starch. I found this cornstarch in the grocery store, but it has, you look at the label and it has gums, it has this, it has like 5 ingredients. You're like, I don't sell that blend. You can't use that for your formulations. But yeah, that does happen. But yeah, just having a good relationship with your supplier is the biggest thing. If I can pick up the phone and call my rep and be like, hey, I need this sample as soon as possible, what can you do to get it to me? That's the value that I need.
From your experience, Holden, I know you've been in the product development side, so
Yeah,
and
I
on the
am the
bench, so
expert.
maybe you can give some background on.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
being in R&D, you're right. It is kind of a race because we have our own deadlines, and we gotta have something made up as fast as possible. If we're not working on the project that's due in 2 weeks, if we're not able to work for 2 weeks on a project that's due in 2 weeks, then we're in trouble. So, yeah, there is a lot to consider, but almost at the end of the day with R&D, if it's a third party that's working on it, it is a race for the ingredient.
Yeah, you're not the only company working on that bid, right? Your competitors are working on that same, and we'll get requests from, 3 different co-packers that we sell to for the same ingredient, so we know they're all fighting for it,
Bidding
right?
for the same
So
piece of work, right? Yeah.
So
yeah.
how do you guys go about streamlining ingredient sources from food manufacturers? How do you make sure that stays as a fast, quick process?
I think like Warren said, it goes back to your relationship with your supplier, right? I mean, they, you got to represent good, reliable companies that do the right thing all the time in business because your reputation is everything. So, and if you've got a good relationship with them, you can tell them nicely when you think they're, they need to handle something differently. You just, hey, we need this quicker, or, I think we should do this, so I don't know. It's just all about open communication and being able to speak openly with your suppliers.
It's hard to be all things to all people. You really have to know that the ingredients that you sell, you can deliver on the customer's expectations. So if a customer comes to me with an opportunity and I know that it's going to be really hard to get the sample or provide the product on time, I'll give my customer Paul's number and they'll call him and they'll get it done. And I might not get that sale, but that customer will know that I helped them anyway.
Yep, that's huge. If you can't find it, you point them in the right direction, because the key again is to get these R&D people to find you as a valuable resource to them, right? So when they ask you for an ingredient, if you don't have it, you're giving them to a good source who does.
I could agree with all that. I think that makes sense. You've got your go-to people in R&D, and just building that trust. Really, you know who to talk to first.
Yeah, and I think when you're sitting there, I think part of your jobs though too is getting pitched probably on new ingredients, right? Or having a great relationship with somebody and they say, "Go find this," right? I need this product. So when you are in that realm of discovery, right, trying to get this brand new ingredient, or let's say you come across a new ingredient at a trade show that's fantastic, like how do you introduce it as a distributor? How do you introduce it into your warehouse, right? And then like how do you say yes to something? And then also from an ingredient brokerage perspective, how do you evaluate these type of new ingredients for market fit as well?
Well, really, it's you know, do you the ingredient that seems interesting to you? How many customers will it add value? Because a lot of these customers, they have, like Holden says, they're the experts. They have their recipes, they have their brands, they know what their flavor profiles are supposed to be. So you're trying to bring them something that they don't think they need. I ran my business for 25 years without X ingredient. Why are you telling me that I need it now? So that's really the hard thing, is if you really believe in the product and you've seen it in action, then you could say, okay, well, this is the value that it's going to bring you. You're going to be able to reduce this expensive ingredient, or you're going to increase this quality, and customers will pick your brand over another. But then that, it gets even more complicated, because then how does that fit in with your customers' marketing aspirations? They might be like, well, we don't market anything. If we change it, the customer is not going to understand that we changed it. So it's really a lot of different factors, and it's difficult to push ingredients to customers. A lot of it is reactions. The customers are bringing the request to us. At least our two business models, they're bringing their request, and we're fulfilling that the best logistically, cost effective, all those different quality issues. But pushing an ingredient is a little bit, a lot bit harder, actually.
Yeah, I'd agree. You get people that ask you to rep their products, and we call it pioneering, right? Hey, we're brand new. We don't know anybody. We'd like you to, you know, promote this product out there, and that's a lot of work, right? So when we're very careful about what we take on nowadays, just because we've got a lot of lines and we don't want to represent too many things because our service starts to kind of get spread too thin. But we look at, does it line up well with what we're currently selling? You know, is this something that we can sell to all the current big customers that we already are they all buying this ingredient already? And if they are, it's an easier sell, right? It's just another sentence when you're talking to somebody. So it has to line up with what you're doing. If it's like hey, this replaces this, and it's really technical, and it's, you know, we don't take a lot of risks with that sort of thing, right? If a new company we've never heard of wants to sell some ingredient, you know, we're slow and traditional when it comes to that, right? We don't take on risks like those. It's we just do ingredients that we know we can
I don't
sell.
think there's anything wrong with being conservative in that regards, right? Is understanding your market and then leveraging that, right? So if you're in the dried fruit category, you don't want to have a shotgun approach to other categories. It's like, no, we have a rifle shot here, and this is all we do, right? And having some strategy and structure in place to
Focusing your
focus.
expertise.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you guys talk a lot about promoting the ingredients. I want to know, what about promoting your company? With this being a food marketing podcast, how do you guys get the name out there for B2B companies like yourself?
For us, it's word of mouth. You know, we've been doing it for I've been doing it for 25 years too, like Warren has. You know, we people know who we are for the most. Well, I shouldn't say that because there's a lot of people. Of course, it's a big market. We just represent California, by the way, so we're only in California. I know Warren, as a distributor, reaches probably out further than that, but just from going to the shows and you know, people will work at one company and they'll move to another, and all of a sudden now we're doing business with that company too. You know, so if you're around long enough and you're doing the right things, then, you know, your name gets out there. But we're small. We don't do any like search engine optimization, or, you know, we're not promoting our websites or anything like that. We're a little we're a little more traditional and conservative, I guess, with that too. So
Warren, how about yourself?
It's easy to take ads and spend money doing that, but are you really reaching the customers that you're looking for? Business to business is a lot harder. You know, the drinks next to you guys, you know exactly who your customer is. And, you know, there's all these analytics you could say, you could push it, but you're really going directly to the consumer. It's like, okay, how do we sell to the consumer? Your average business that you're trying to sell to, you know, they're not just, you know, cruising the internet for a new supplier or, you know, they might find ingredients, but the hard part is that, you know, whether it's ADM or Cargill or Ingredion, these big companies, if they're seeing the marketing, they're calling that supplier directly, whether they're looking for 1 pound or 100,000 pounds. And so, you know, we trust that our suppliers are sending out the, you know, filtering them back to us, you know, either the broker in this instance, because they're covering that territory, or us because we're in that area and we can service them the best. So yeah, marketing is tough. Really, it's just like Paul said, it's being at the shows, it's being in front of the customer, and them remembering that you're there.
And yeah.
You know, like you, being well known.
Yeah, having that brand reputation, I think, is key to it. It seems like, right? So it's building that brand between both of your companies so that you're able to leverage the reputation, right? Because at the end of the day, Warren, it sounds like you're more focused on streamlining supply chain, right? And Paul, you're more focused on ingredient sourcing for individuals, making sure that they have that, you have that product available to them, pitching that. And so, you know, having that reputation where you're the call, right? You want to get that call that somebody says, hey, I need this tomorrow, and you're getting it to them, right? So I think that's key.
You know, that does happen with us. You know, since we do well on certain ingredients, say we're selling a customer 6, 7, 8 ingredients, they'll be like, hey, you're doing such a good job on this. Can you get this other product for me? So we do get that. But yeah, the value that we provide that like a supplier can't provide, even a good supplier, is that just-in-time deliveries, streamlining process. Um, you know, these big manufacturers, they don't want a huge book of customers that they're servicing, invoicing, because they're trying to streamline their labor force as well. You know, they want to go more automation. So they don't have time to take on a bunch of new customers. And so that's why they rely on Paul's company and my company to be their sales force out in the market.
That makes sense. And I think what we've established is the food industry is really dynamic. There's a lot of challenges in play. What would you say are some obstacles you faced along the way, and how did you overcome them? Paul, you're a family-owned company as well, right? So you've got your brothers and sister and your dad, and was involved in this. And I had the fortunate opportunity to work with everybody on your team and Warren's team as well, and yeah, really respect your dad and what he's built with the company, right? And so, there's got to be a lot of learnings along the way with just even a family-owned business, right? But beyond that, what did you guys have in terms of challenges that you would say, this is it, this is what saved us, or, things that we would want to learn from and don't ever do this again?
I think really as a distributor, the customer becomes so reliant on you, they don't realize all the work that goes behind making those weekly deliveries. So when there is a problem, like, you might have 10 years without any hiccups at a customer, and then all of a sudden they get a batch of starts that stopped working, and their whole line goes down. They have customers waiting for product. They can't make anything. They have to send all their employees home. So that's the most stressful part. Earlier we were talking about having great suppliers who have quality products, that you don't have these problems, but when they do come up, you have to have other options. We try to have multiple sources for ingredients so that our customers don't have to. They know that Pearson has their main supplier and a backup just in case. So that's really what we've done. We build in a lot of redundancies. We have new employees that come on sometimes and they want to even streamline some of the stuff we have internally. It's like, no, don't change our process. We have multi-techs so that we don't screw up, because our whole thing is to make sure our customers have a great experience. When they think of Pearson, they only think of positive things. They don't think of any problems. So we build in those redundancies and think, okay, well, if this shipment doesn't come in time, what are we going to do for the customer? So that's really what we've learned over the years. It's really hard to do because a lot of these products are unique and they are only single source. So it's like, how do you ensure that you always have product for the customer? And that's always the question that we have to answer every day.
Yeah, I can relate to that. It's we don't represent multiple. We don't represent any conflicts. So we represent one company in each category. But if there's a problem with what we are doing, there's no problem in giving them to a competitor, right? I mean, again, it's all about the long-term game here. You want to help the customer at all costs, and it's good for your supplier too. They're not going to be mad if you put your customer to somebody who's going to be able to help them in the interim. And I guess I do have one story with what Warren's saying. Some of these are specialty items. And we represented a company one time that made a product that nobody else made. And they shut the plant down without any warning, just shut it down. And so we had one of our really valuable customers, I think he may have even helped me with this one, Warren, soup company. And we got the raw material from a different supplier. And then we got a flavor company to help us make the flavor, and we got them to get all the ingredients together, because we had a customer that we knew could do it. But luckily we talked him into doing it. So he was able to make the product and keep the soup company going for 6 months or whatever, until another company came in and bought that plant and they were running it again. So
Try to remember I was gonna try to remember if I was involved in that one too or no. From our days of working together.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, we had to replace one supplier with three suppliers. That was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's a big challenge, and trying to overcome those obstacles is key, I think. So, um, yeah, it's a valuable insight.
Yeah, and and again, relationships help with that, right? If Warren and I didn't know each other, and we wouldn't have maybe not been able to pull that off. So it's good to know good people.
You think about food and it's like, okay, everybody eats food. This industry is huge. There's thousands of companies that make ingredients and products and this and that, but it's such a small world. You know, you walk through these trade shows and you almost have met everybody once before. So you really have to keep a good relationship even with your competitors because you might need help one day or they might need help one day. And the biggest thing is, making sure that the customer is taken care of and you kind of push some of that other stuff aside um, in the interest of keeping things flowing because, disruptions can, on one side, you don't think even it's going to even affect your business, ends up hurting you somewhere else. So, yeah, having good relationships and cordial relationships with competitors can be helpful.
I agree with that.
Yeah, there's no reason to not stay nice in the sandbox, right? We're all doing the same thing, and there's enough to
Yeah,
go
one I
around.
think you guys have addressed it here twice now too is you you may have that problem right now with each other, right? Based off of relationship, business to business, but that person may move on to another company that they may now need you again, right? But if they've ruined that reputation or the relationship, you're the only thing that you have to do is remember that situation and be like, hey, you know what, your price just increased because now I have to deal with you again or whatever, right? So you don't want to put yourself in that situation either. But I think to your point is this relationship is small, this industry is small, and how do we get to work together in a way of it's a win-win, right? Because I don't think anybody's out here to really harm each other in this instance, and it comes down to supply.
You might be on your fourth or fifth company since Paul and I met
Yes,
you,
That's
easily.
right.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
14 years
Yes,
ago.
exactly. We're still here doing this, right? So, you know,
Yeah.
the relationships are key.
Try not to piss anybody off. That's my main
Exactly.
motto: is don't piss anybody
Exactly. I
off.
agree. That's probably the best valuable insight that you've had. We have like negotiating pricing, strategies on reliable service, um, brainstorming new product ideas, which I think we talked about before. I don't know if there's anything that within those realms that you guys would want to talk about.
I could talk about pricing a little bit. That's probably a little more relevant to Warren because we don't as a broker we don't price anything, so we get all our pricing from suppliers, but what we do is try to make sure that the worst thing you can do is come in and quote somebody and be so far out of the ballpark they wonder what's wrong with you, right? So we definitely want to get feedback and make sure that because we're not always the cheapest, right? Again, it kind of goes along with we're representing good companies that do the right thing and have been around a long time, and there's a little bit of a premium on that compared to maybe an import item or something like that. But we we don't we're generally in the ballpark, and we just want to make sure we are, and we try to get feedback. If we're not, again, if you have a good enough relationship with your customers, they'll let you know, hey, you're off on this, so we'll take that information back and try to work
Yeah.
something out.
Is that true to you as well, Warren, when it comes to recommending ingredients to your clients and I guess striking the balance between this cost effectiveness and maintaining high quality standards and then also, ease of service, supply chain, all of that stuff that goes into it for you?
Try not to make any judgments for customers because they all have their own goals. They all have their budgets. They have an idea of what their product's supposed to be like. So I try to help them achieve what they're bringing to us. If they want a high-end quality product, then we're going to bring them what's going to make their product perform the best. If they need a low cost um, they're more of a commodity, everything's price driven, then we're looking for ingredients that are going to meet that need. I mean, they still have to be quality. When I first started, most customers didn't even ask for spec sheets. They're just like, okay, I need dextrose, just send it to me. And now it's like there's a list of 20 documents before they even get the price from you. So all the products have to meet those standards. We're certified as well, so we have our own checklist to meet before we can even buy something. But it's really understanding the needs of the customer and fulfilling that, not trying to talk them into maybe something that's not going to work in their overall perspective.
When you guys do fix the problem, how do you celebrate? How do you, like, hey, we did it. Everything's going to be okay.
Is that the golf course? Getting out on the golf course, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. I'm a pessimist. I probably should celebrate more than I do because for me, it's just, okay, business as usual, on to the next one, I don't know. Maybe I should take more tequila shots or something because that sounds would be a healthier way to go about it.
I give myself about 5 minutes to be happy about a win or a success. Maybe talk to other people in the office and be excited about it. Because when something goes bad, you don't want to drop too low. So I give myself 5 minutes to, yell in my office or, punch a punching bag or something. And then I, get over it and move on to the solution. Because, every day there's wins and there's losses every single day. It's not like, you go for a month, they're all wins. You could get a call and close a $2 million deal, and 20 minutes later hear, about another deal where the production's going to be down for 2 weeks and your customer's not going to be able to run. So you can't get high one way or another. And I wish I could celebrate a little bit more, but
it sounds like being disciplined right through it all, and then also I think to your point, Paul, is identifying the right problems, right? That's the key to a win-win, because oftentimes people are upset about something else, but that's not the real problem, right? And it's trying to listen to them, understand what the problem is, and then trying to solve that problem so you guys can be the best in class as you both are, and be able to solve problems, get customers to work with you consistently, and combined efforts to lead you to the right win. So last question in this regards is, what we've all been in the industry for quite some time now. So what's exciting right now for the both of you in terms of the future of food, and how do you stay inspired in these instances as well, right? So what do you see in the marketplace, or technology, analytics, right? All of that stuff. What kind of keeps you guys motivated on a day-to-day in the food industry?
I do like to take on new projects and specialty items because that does keep things fresh. People bring stuff like Paul all the time. I've got an overseas customer that has all these seafood flavors, and he's talking to me about bringing them over. And I'm like, okay, well, have you sold to the U.S. before? No. Okay. Are you certified to sell in the U.S.? No. How long will it take? Probably about a year. All right, well, let's go find some customers for you. But it's great, as far as the relationship with the customer, it shows that you're thinking about them. They care. You care about, their products, and you're trying to bring them something, even if it doesn't go anywhere. It's more of, that's kind of our marketing is, probably like customer retention marketing, that kind of thing. They feel good about working with you, knowing that you're looking out for them. So that's what keeps me excited. If there is something cool and someone I can work with, I'll go for it and I'll try it. Even if, the successes aren't huge, you never know what's going to pop and what's not.
Yeah, I still get a charge when you work on a project, then you see it on the shelf, right? Like, hey, I worked on that project. It does still feel good when you see that. So I would say that, and I like exploring. I like road trips and like driving around. So I go all up into Northern California, and there's always new places and to see, and new companies popping up, and new places to explore in. So I do enjoy that. That kind of keeps me inspired and in it, because I like those road trips.
Yeah, I would agree. Every time I go traveling, I try to pop into a supermarket, especially international, right, and see different brands and how they're marketed in a specific country or different state or whatever. You just never know what you're learning. And seeing your product on a shelf is pretty amazing as well. So, yeah, so thank you guys today. We appreciate all of the solutions you brought in and talking about some of the challenges you've overcome. And again, maintaining this positive working relationships, I think is the key takeaway from all of this that we've learned.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we gotta get together and celebrate the podcast.
Yes, exactly.
That's right.
Thanks for coming on,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, thank you guys.
And that's a wrap on today's episode with Food Marketing Mindset. I'm Doug Resh,
And I'm Holden Rouse.
and a big thank you to the visionary food marketers who shared their secret sauce with us, Paul Dayton and Warren Wyndham.
Remember, the world of food marketing is everywhere. It's powerful and it's effective.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share this podcast with fellow innovators. For more delicious content, follow us on our social channels and visit our website. Stay tuned for another serving of Food Marketing Mindset, where your appetite for growth meets the taste of triumph. Stay seasoned, stay inspired until we meet again on the next episode of Food Marketing Mindset.